Howdy folks, and welcome to my underpowered stamina Dragon Knight PvP build video. In this here video I will showcase two setups. One will be for battlegrounds and CP campaigns, and the other one will be for no CP. So this is a Nord Dragon Knight. Now I put 20 points into health and 44 points into stamina, which gives me roughly 19k magicka, 32k health and 29k stamina. I'm also using the Serpent Mundustone, which gives me 310 stamina recovery, and Bewitched Sugar Skulls, which gives me health, stamina, magicka and health recovery, which is extremely useful for PvP. The gear that I'm using for the CP and Battleground setup is Bloodspawn monster set. Both pieces are heavy, impenetrable, and what this gives you is stamina recovery, which is very nice, and when you take damage you have a 6% chance to generate 13 ultimates and increase your physical and spell resistance by 3.7k for 5 seconds. Now I'm using this monster set because this build is designed around using one particular ultimate, which I will get to later on. My chest piece is the Gallant Chain, which is a quest reward from Stros Mackay. The quest takes about 5 to 10 minutes to finish, and this is a part of the trainee set, reinforced, and it gives you 1.4k maximum health. I'm also using the good old Malakat's Band of Brutality, which increases your damage done by 16%, but it decreases the critical damage done by 50%, but obviously you don't care about critical damage in PvP that much. And the set on my back bar is probably one of the most slept on sets in this game, in my opinion, and it's called the Essence Thief. What this gives you is stamina, more stamina, weapon and spell damage, and dealing damage with a light or heavy attack draws essence from the enemy that pulls near them for 5 seconds. Drawing from the pool heals you for 4.4k health and restores 4.3k stamina. Now this is all very nice for your sustain and survivability, but the best part is that it also increases your damage done by 10% for 10 seconds. So practically you can almost have 100% uptime with this set, and 10% damage increase is extremely useful. I'm using Nirnhound mace and impenetrable shield. I'm also using damage health poison, which is the double dot poison. You can craft it yourself or buy it in guild stores. And on the front bar I'm using something different. This is not your good old Daedric Trickery setup. If you want something else, you can use Witch Knight. This set gives you weapon and spell damage, more weapon and spell damage, more weapon and spell damage, and then it increases your weapon and spell damage by 360 against enemies inflicted with a poison damage effect. Now, as a Dragon Knight, you have the Venomous Claw, which deals poison dot, and Noxious Breath, which again applies a poison damage dot, which means that if you keep those up on the enemy ticking at all times, you will constantly have 740 roughly weapon and spell damage all the time when you're on your front bar, right? this is enormous amount of damage. Now, I know that Daedric Trickery is extremely popular set for stamina decays or magicka decays as well, but this gives you so much damage that I would say that it's probably better to use, especially when you're in a group of people, like battleground group, or you have a group of friends, small scale PvP in Citadel or Imperial City. This is just enormous amount of pressure that you can keep up on the enemy. Now, as you can see, I'm using Infused Sword with Oblivion Damage enchant. I'm not using Sharpened Maul because, as I've mentioned, this build is designed around one particular ultimate, which means that you deal a maximum of 4.8k Oblivion damage every 5 seconds with this Infused Greatsword. And the reason why it's Infused Greatsword, not Sharpened Maul, is this ultimate, Corrosive Armor. When you use this, it costs 200 ultimates. When you use this, you're dealing 1500 poison damage to enemies nearby for 12 seconds, which is not much, but not bad. Why not? But while active, this ability and your direct damage dealt ignores enemy physical and spell resistance, which means no matter how tanky or how much armor your enemies have, all your direct damage goes 100% through, which will be your light and heavy attacks, your executioner, your volatile armor, the spike release, the first spray of spikes that you release, the first direct damage of the Noxious Breath, and again the Venomous Claw, the first direct damage. Everything goes through 100%. So what it says on the tin, that's the damage that you're going to do. Now, an Ord has a fantastic skill called Stalwart, which increases your max stamina, which is fantastic. But when you take damage, and in PvP you do that constantly, you gain 5 ultimates every 10 seconds. So when you are in combat and using light and heavy attacks, you generate 3 ultimates per second, if I'm not mistaken. So this gives you, this passive ability, because you're an Ord, gives you so much more ultimate. Plus a good old Bloodspawn, which means that you will be able to use this Corrosive Armor ultimate a lot. Like, it's almost constantly up. And you're not worried about enemy resistances, nothing like that. All your direct damage goes through 100%. Now, on the back bar, with your Essence Thief, you're using Cauterize, which is a fantastic kind of heal over time. It takes every 5 seconds for 6k health. Next one is Fragmented Shield. You don't use this as a shield. You use this to gain the Major Mending for 16 seconds, which increases your health healing done by 16% for 6 seconds. Small correction there. Next skill is Deep Slash, which deals quite a lot of damage. You reduce the movement all enemies hit by 30% for 4 seconds, and also you afflict the enemies you hit with this with Major Maim, reducing their damage done by 5% for 12 seconds, which is very nice. Next skill is your stun, Reverberating Bash, which deals some damage, but it stuns the enemies for 3 seconds and you can apply your pressure. Resolving Vigor is your main oh shit button, and you don't use this Temporal Guard ultimate at all, you have it there to gain minor protection. Now, front bar is Venomous Claw, Rally, Volatile Armor, Noxious Breath, Executioner, and obviously the Corrosive Armor. All the gear pieces instead of except the Gallant Chain are impenetrable. Gallant Chain is reinforced, which gives you more armor. All pieces of jewelry are infused, and this setup uses 3 heavy pieces and 4 medium. Also, the poison is only on the back bar because you need the Oblivion damage on your front bar. The jewelry is, as I mentioned, infused with weapon damage glyphs. Now, for the champion points, Green Tree, I highly recommend using Gifted Rider, Rationer, Liquid Efficiency, and Steve's Blessing. But if you feel like you want to use something else, feel free to do so. Green Tree doesn't really matter. Now the Blue Tree. I'm using Ironclad, which is down here, and it reduces your damage taken, direct damage taken, by 10%. Next one is Deadly Aim, which increases your damage done with single target attacks. Next one is Master at Arms, which increases your direct damage attacks by 10%. And in my opinion, one of the most important CP nodes, Thaumaturge, which increases your your damage done with damage over time effects by 2% per stage. You have this, you have this, you have this, you have this. All this is buffed by the Thaumaturge. Basically, you put so much dot pressure on the enemy that it's insane. Red Tree, Boundless Vitality, Sustained by Suffering, which is down here. You're always under some negative effects in PvP, so this is fantastic. Pain's Refuge, again, negative effects all the time, so reduces your damage taken by 2% for every 2 negative effects. And the last one is Survival Instincts, which is down here. While afflicted with a status effect, your core combat skills cost 5% less per stage. Now, some people may be confused with this. What are core combat skills? If you press this, Advanced Stats, these are your core combat skills. Bash, Block, Break Free, Dodge Roll, Sneak, Sprint, Block Mitigation, Sneak Speed, Sprint. Everything costs less. Up to 25%. Which is always nice. You dodge roll a lot, you block sometimes a lot. So this is extremely useful. So this is the CP setup. No CP setup is slightly different. The skills are basically the same. But there is a difference with the gear. Now, all this you can buy in guild stores, this gear. Some may be a bit pricey or a bit harder to get, but that's the price that you have to pay. Now, I'm not using Monster Set on this particular build, I'm only using Balorg Arm Corps, which increase increases the weapon and spell damage, which is nice. Now the first set that I'm using is the back bar set. Pariah, good old Pariah. Again, I'm using poisons on the back bar, and Pariah is there to provide you, even on your front bar, you get some health and some resistances, which is very nice. But if you feel like you need to have more survivability, you just switch to your back bar, you have Pariah fully active, and you're good to go. Now, the jewelry pieces are all potentates, right? This is active at all times. What this set gives you is a reduction of damage taken from players by 3%. And this is why I don't need to use the Bloodspawn monster set on this build, because it also reduces the cost of your ultimate abilities by 15%. Which means that this ultimate now costs 170 ultimate, not 200. Right? So you can use Pariah, Balor Garncops, Potentates, and on the front bar, Shield Breaker. Now, not many people are using this set, this particular set, because first of all, it's, if you find it in guild stores, it can be extremely pricey, like 200k for a sword and that kind of stuff. And if you want to get it yourself, you need to farm Telvar in Imperial City, go to the sewers, to your home base, and buy a box for 3000 Telvar, which contains random piece of this set. And this new curated drop doesn't apply to this set, so you can spend a lot of Telvar before you get the gear pieces that you actually want. But what this does is it gives you stamina recovery, which is fantastic, weapon and spell damage, and it increases your damage done by 6%. This effect is doubled when attacking targets with a damage shield active. Now, 6% increased damage is just brilliant. But in PvP, majority of players use some form of shield. Right? Even this build has a shield. This one. You don't use this to gain a shield because the shield is kind of small. 2.7k. It doesn't matter. This is not why you use this. Use it to gain the major mending for 6 seconds, which increases your healing done. So this and this plus the rally heal will be 16% stronger. This is why you use this shield. But this applies the shield to you and other players, not necessarily Dragon Knights, but like all Magicka players have shields. A lot of Templars use shields, Stamina Templars, I mean, even Stamina classes use sometimes some form of shield, which increases your damage done by 12%, which is just insane. The best damage dealing set for PvE right now, I would say for both Stamina and Magicka, is Basai. And that gives you 15% damage increase when you're on 0 Magicka, basically. The less that Magicka you have, the more damage you do, up to 15%, but for that you would have to be like on 0, like no Magicka at all. But this gives you, majority of time, 12% for free, which is brilliant. So with this setup, the no CP setup, I forgot to mention that all these sets work in no CP Imperial City or Cyrodiil. Pariah, One Piece monster set, Potentates, and Shieldbreaker. All of this works in no CP. So this is a fantastic set for some damage, survivability, pariah, potentates. Brilliant. Now I'm also using powered Mace of Pariah and Sturdy Shield, because when you're on your back bar, you're practically defensive and you need some block cost reduction and some more healing. Jewelry is all infused with weapon damage glyphs, and again, since you're using this, you don't need basically sharpened maul to go through enemy resistances. You have this ultimate. So you're using infused sword to improve your damage, right? Swords increase your weapon and spell damage. And also apply unmitigatable oblivion damage to enemy depending on their health every 5 seconds, which is brilliant. This can do so much damage you wouldn't believe. With this setup, champion points are not really necessary because this is for no CP. Again, this setup uses 3 pieces of pariah, which is a heavy armor, and 4 pieces of medium armor, Shieldbreaker and Balrog. So that's about it. I thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.